Okay, then we can get started. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So, you guys are having some knowledge on core Java concepts, right? I guess. So that
Yes,
is
yes.
actually basic for Android. That is enough for Android application development. So let's get started. What happens with the Android applications? What we can do with that? So we have some presentations. I'll give it to overview on that. Then from today we can do only the introduction to the Android, and tomorrow onwards we can directly went to the topics wise, and we can do live coding. Okay. So what is basically Android?
Mhm.
What we can do with Android platform? So we can say Android is an ecosystem. It has some platform architecture. It is not only an operating system. It has some SDKs, APIs available, and there are a lot of Android versions released recently. And we have challenges of Android app development and app fundamental. We'll cover all these topics in this introduction to Android. Okay, let's go one by one. So what is basically Android ecosystem, right? So Android is built on it's a based operating system is Linux kernel. So even Java is also based on that, right? So is a underlying architecture is underlying operating system built on the Linux kernel. So right, Windows is different, and Linux OS version is different. So Linux is based on the file system based, and it has a user interface for touch screens. So Android, we can say nowadays, is a mobile device, right? It has some operating system that is deployed on the Linux kernel, and it has the SDK available to develop the applications. That means we have a user interface for touch screens. And used nowadays, Android, you can see, right, 80% of the market covered by Android because of the cheapest prices. You can say Apple covers 10 to 15% only because of the budget prices, right? So except USA, other countries usually on Android smartphone only. So that means it covers over 80%. So Android application development is on everywhere, not only a specific country, not only a specific place. That's why it is more into market. So we have not only mobile devices, we have different types of Android operating devices will be available. That is watches, TVs, and cars. So Android can be deployed in watches, can be in TVs as well as cars. So when you are a Android developer, you are not only for mobile applications. You can do watch applications, TV applications, and car applications. All the development activity will be same for across these devices. You are not into only into mobile application developer. You can do anything when you learn Android SDK. So you can see a lot of applications are available in Google Play Store nowadays, right? So it's more than 2 million. It's a bit old document, but it has more than 2 million applications. We can see a lot of free applications there in the Google Play Store, and we can see some paid applications also there. So anyone, any developer can do their own applications, and they can upload there into the marketplace store, and they can get money earning. So not only for the paid apps, even for the free apps also, they can put some ads like Google AdSense, Google AdWords. They can get earning money, right? So this is where the advantages of Android application. And this is actually highly customizable for devices and vendors, right? So this is actually a open source API, right? Android is an open source API. You can do anything, whatever you want in the way, not like other mobile OSs like iOS, Apple, or other things. So Android is open source, so you can do anything, whatever you want. Even you can build your own mobile device as well. So that is flexibility in Android. Okay. And coming to Android user interaction, right? So you can see you are already using some of the mobile devices like iPhone or Apple Android, right? So it has some tapping, pinching, swiping, touching. These are the gestures. These are already there for even for any of the mobile device. And we have some keyboard, right? Virtual keyboard for characters, numbers, and emojis. When typing in the chat or WhatsApp, we can use these things. And it supports usually Bluetooth, USB controls, and peripherals, even NFC, right? So nowadays we can transfer the data over from one device to another device through Bluetooth communication. You can connect the pen drive through USB controls, and we can share the data even through NFC. Share it also there, right? So it's a Wi-Fi direct concept in Android. We can also implement that as well. So a lot of things are there with Android, right? And we can see Android and sensors. So we have Android. Each and every manufacturer will have their own sensors in Android device. You can see the camera, front camera is there. After that, you can see some of the sensors available in the Android device. These are hardware sensors. So these can be detected while when you are let's say when you are doing some activities. It will be recorded like steps, how many steps you done today, so something like that. The sensors will work on that. So it has the capabilities of device contents rotate as needed, and walking edges positions on the map. Titling steers a virtual car and controls a physical toy. Moving to fast disable game interactions. These are all sensors. You can see when you are playing a game, right? You can rotate and you can move your device from left or right. So that is based on the sensor API in Android. So it has a lot of sensors available. And this is basic Android home screen. So you can see launcher icons and self upgrading widgets, and you can see multiple pages. You can put one of them in a folder, organized folders. And there is a OK Google concept. In a Apple there is a Siri, something like it is in related to OK Google. When you say OK Google, it will help you out on the not only the from the mobile device, it will be over from the world. You can ask anything, it will respond based on that. So it is also part of the ecosystem. So it will respond for your actions. That is we called as ecosystem. And some of the Android examples you can see, this Pokemon Go is a good application earlier. And you can see Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp. These are all the applications. You can see how we can do it now. Coming apart from the Android OS operating system, right? So Android is also have a SDK to implement the applications. Like we have is development tools like debugger, monitor, editors. These are all we can cover when we are developing an application in the Android Studio. So just learn what are the things are there, then we can when we are implementing an application, we can see these things. So there are libraries available. These are the default libraries in Android, like maps and wearables. Maps are for location tracking, and wearables for developing the watch applications in Android. And you can see virtual devices, like when you develop an application, if you want to test it out and you don't have any device to test it out, the Android device, you can still use emulator. You can create an emulator, you can just deploy, run it on there, and you can see your application how it behaves. And whatever you want, anything on the development side, you can directly approach developers.android.com. It has all the things available. Okay. And sample codes. You can see GitHub is also there for some sample codes. And this is where earlier versions of Android uses Eclipse. So anyway, right? So Java, when we are using Java, you can see Eclipse. So earlier also for up to Marshmallow, Android supports Eclipse. After that, it is not supporting Eclipse. Now it is supporting only Android Studio. It's an intelligence IDE, and we have to use Android Studio only. So we can get directly started with Android Studio only, but no, don't bother about Eclipse. So we can develop, run, debug, monitor performance. Everything can be done through Android Studio. So it's your official studio. We can download the Android Studio from developers.android.com. So directly it will download. Earlier, what we can do is, when we have Eclipse, right? So we have to first install the Java SDK, Java JDK, then only we can install the Android. So we have to set up these environmental variables in a Windows. So then only we can get run with the Android application. But nowadays, it's not needed for Android Studio. When you download Android Studio and install it, it will take in care all the things, because now it is not using Java JDK. Now it is using Open JDK. So it doesn't require to explicitly setting up the Java JDK. So Android setup will take care of all the things, setting the environmental variables or everything. We can just download it and install it. We can directly do the application. So that is a advantage of using Android Studio. Earlier it is a very headache, and we have to set it up everything, and Eclipse is also very slow when we are developing an application. But Android Studio comes with a lightweight and it is very fast. And you know, when you develop an application, right, you have to definitely submit to the Play Store. I can show you guys later point of time how we can submit an application into the Play Store. So this is actually a official thing. So when you are release your application to the market, you have to definitely upload into the Google Play Store. Even let's say in your company, if they wanted to release the application in in-house release, like they don't want to release in a Google Play Store, still you have a lot of tools available, like TestFair is one other thing, and Diava is one other thing. So you can upload your APK file there, and you can get a link over it, and you can invite the people to get the downloaded, not from the Google Play Store. You can still have other things also available, but it is a official recommended one. We have to submit the application in Google Play Store. Okay. And it has even if you want to release for your testers only before going to the live, it has a lot of concepts: alpha test, beta test. Also, you can invite a specific users to test the application and report the issues. Once you resolve all the issues, then if you want to move to the live, then there is a concept in Google Play Store. Still you can do it. Usually what we can do is we can send the application to the our testers. Once they reported, we resolve all the issues, and once they signed up, then only we'll move to the like Google Live, right? So no need of having other tools. So Google Play Store is having the capability to give alpha test and beta test you, and providing the tester, they can do it directly. And now this is the fundamentals of what is about Android, and how what are the things are there, and how we can do the application. So now, what is actually a Android platform architecture, right? So, as we know, right? So this is built on some Linux kernel or operating system. So it has some SDKs available. It has some APIs available. So how these are organized in a structured way, right? So these are should be communicated each other. Then only we can get. Let's say when you touch anything on the screen, it should be intimate to the operating system to respond back. So when you are touching an application, it is why it is opening, it should be communicated to the operating system to open the application. So how this communication is happening, and when we are pressing the camera, how it is opening, and how it is taking the capture, all the things we have to see the architecture platform. So you can see this is a Android actually architecture. So what we said, right? So it's actually built on the Linux kernel operating system, and it has the hardware abstraction layer. So what is hardware abstraction layer, right? So and Android operating have these capabilities, right? Hardware capabilities like sensors, camera feature, and a lot of other features are there, right? So how these are can be accessed to the our applications through hardware abstraction layer. This is the layer actually communicating with the operating system. Whatever the touch event or whatever, when we want to access the camera, everything will be going through this hardware abstraction layer. This is the layer which will communicate with a Linux kernel and respond back to the applications. So we can see one by one each other, right? Okay. And we have system application. These are user applications, right? What is system applications? You can see when you have an Android mobile device, you can see a lot of default applications like contacts app, call app, messaging app, and camera app. These are all called system applications. That means the default applications in the Android mobile called as system applications. And user applications are what we are developing it on the Android device, that we can call it as user applications. This means customized applications. And we have a Java API framework, right? Earlier we are using JDK, Java, Oracle JDK. Now it is Open JDK platform. So it's a based on when the coding will be all similar to the Java only, but that communicates with Java API framework. And we have other supports with native C++ libraries. We can still coding with the C++ within it, a native NDK SDK is there, so we can build that. This is mainly useful for some gaming purposes. So when we are developing in a game application, you must do actions on native C++, because when you write the code in for gaming application in Java, it is very heavy on the OS. So C++ is for lightweight communication with the operating system. So that is why they approached with a C++. It will directly, it's a low level language, right? You can see low level language easily converts into the bytecode, and it will be communicated with the Linux kernel. So that is the advantages of using C++. But that is why Android supports that. And we have Android runtime. So we have a Dalvik virtual machine. So when we are compiling and building it, and that will be converted to the bytecode, and it will be communicated with the OS operating system. So even Java also having JVM, right? So similar way, Android has their own runtime machine. Okay. And let's see one by one. So as I told you, system and user apps, right? So system apps have no special status. System apps have provide capabilities, developers. That is something like SMS message. So and Java API framework. So the entire features set of Android OS is available to you through APIs. As I told you, it will be communicated through that. So view class hierarchy to create UI screen, notification manager, activity manager. These are all some of the features of Android API and content providers. We can see one by one what is notification manager, what is activity, what is content provider. We can see everything. Okay. And then what is Android runtime? As I told you, right? So each app runs in own process, and which has own instance of the Android runtime. So each application, right, each operating system has different processes available. Even now I'm running in the laptop, right? I can see a lot of processes and a lot of applications running in the system, in the RAM memory. And whenever you create an application and running it, it will be created with one process. So Android also having some capabilities. One application can be have multiple processes as well. So how we can create different processes in Android application, we can see later point of time how we can achieve it. Okay. So this is what C++ libraries support. So we can give native Android system components and services. So when we're doing a game applications, it will be very useful when writing the C++ libraries. And I told hardware abstraction layer, standard interface that expose device hardware capabilities like camera, Bluetooth model, right? So as I told you, our application wants to use the camera and Bluetooth features. So it should be the operating system doesn't know the communication. So hardware abstraction layer is only the middle layer, which will communicate with the operating system and get the features for us. So we cannot directly communicate the camera and Bluetooth. It's because it's of hardware related features, right? So hardware related features can be accessed through hardware abstraction layer only. So that is advantages of this layer in the architecture. And finally we have a Linux kernel. So Linux kernel is actually a threading and low level memory management, and it has a security features. and there are a lot of device drivers also available. So entire Android base is built on actually Linux kernel. So this is all about actual our and Android platform architecture, you can see. And now we are part of this user applications, how we can develop an application, how we can deploy it, how we can run it, how we can debug it, how we can improve the optimization, and how we can run the application, and how we can deploy the application. We can see each and everything in this learning. Okay. And you can see, right? So and it has different flavors of APIs available now in the market, running with the Oreo, right? 8.0. So it till this document is with 7.0. And these are some old things. Android started with the API 1.1. That's a very basic world, and now it is with 8.0. So there are a lot of changes happened over the period of time. And internally, in one of the A versions, there are different API levels are there. So where it is released, and some of the features will be is are deprecated in some of the versions. And we can develop any the applications from any version, like KitKat or Lollipop or whatever we want, based on our requirement. We can do it. That is actually history of Android. So basically, this Honeycomb is built for tablet devices earlier, and these are for mobile devices. You can do the mobile application with these versions as well, but it has other features too. We can do it. So now, what is Android app development, right? So basically, how we can, let's say, a simple application which will provide some storage to my notes, like day-to-day reminder, something like, if you want to do it. So it has one or more interactive screens, and it has some Java programming language, as I already told you. It's a basic with the Java, and it has a XML. What is XML? So when we want to provide any UI to the Android application, you must design that in a XML, or you can directly dynamically also you can create it. We can see that how we can create it, but XML will do that thing. So we can define the layout in a XML file. So that layout is a visual user interface for the user. Whatever you wanted to show that to user, we can define it in a XML. And whatever the interactions and business logic, everything we can done in a Java programming language. So Android has SDK, software development kit, to develop the application. So it has some of the libraries like maps, camera features, right? So we can access it. And it has Android application framework as well, and it has Android runtime virtual machine. So executing the application in a mobile device, it uses IRT. And now, what are challenges while developing the Android applications, right? You can see in the market, you can see a lot of Android devices are available with a different screen sizes, physical screen densities. A lot of sizes are there, not only a 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch even, right? How your application supports these are all screen sizes and resolutions. Android have different kinds of resolutions, right? Like HDPI, XHDPI, double XHDPI. These are, I'll tell you guys what is the resolution. Okay. Now it's a right now I'll tell you only the physical screen size. Okay. Physical screen size is what you can see in the in your device, right? So this is a 4-inch mobile device you have it, or 5-inch mobile device. Still, my application wants to support all these multiple screen sizes and screen resolution. You have to be very keen on that, how we can support our application in a multiple screen sizes and resolutions. That is one challenge you have to be noted down. And the performance. So even it when you are developing for a desktop application, right, it doesn't matter about the performance. Even it has a lot of heap memory and RAM memory you can take, but mobile devices have very low RAM memory. Nowadays you are getting 8 GB RAM or 12 GB RAM of devices even, but earlier stages it is 2 GB is more enough for Android device. at that time performance very keen, right? So when you are developing an application, you should be careful while developing UI or business logic. Everything you have to be taken care of on the performance wise. It should be very responsive and it should be very smooth. Otherwise users may won't like when it is very laggy, it is not very smooth, it is not very responsive, then users won't be like the applications the way. So we have to consider that it's one of the challenge. And security, right? So when we develop it, it should not be reverse engineered by any of the hacker. We have to be very careful with our source code, because the APK can be reverse engineered and can get class files, assets, everything we can get it. But now in Android Studio, we have a lot of security features available. We can see later one by one how we can secure our application and how we can secure our source code. We can do that. And what are the capabilities, right? So run well on older platforms too. So now it is Oreo, right? So when you are directly deploying in a Oreo, how it supports in the older versions of Android, you should support till. So market still running with a lollipop also, right? Some of the devices still available, so you have to be considered the old versions of Android as well. When you are developing an app directly, you cannot do it with the latest version, because latest versions of devices won't be available more, because it's a depending on the vendor. So you have some vendors like Samsung, LG, right, Moto. It has some of the devices may be running with the latest version of Android, but still some of the versions still there in the old platform. So you should be careful when developing an application. You have a specific target version as well as the minimum version. So older platforms also you have to be covered based on your requirement again. And marketing, understand the market and your users. It doesn't have any to be expensive, but it can be. So you have to be understand the market, how what is the best application you can do it, and what you can best features to your users. You have to be careful in that. So these are the basic challenges while implementing or while developing an Android application. And some of the application building blocks, like when you're developing an application, these are some mandatory stuff to have it in each and every application. So some resources are there like layouts, as I told you, that's a easier interface. And images, whatever images you want to show in the R application. So images and strings. I'll tell you guys everything now. So how we have it, colors, XML, media files, everything I can tell you. So components, we have activity services, I'll tell you in detail. So just a briefing of it and I'll tell you everything in a detailed way. So manifest, we have information about the app for the runtime. And build configuration, APK versions, these are all some basic things in Android. And some component types, right? Okay, let's go this after looking at our Android Studio first. Then I'll tell you what is a component and what is a building blocks of Android. Let's go to our Android Studio and see what are the options available in the Android Studio IDE. Then we can get into the detail of each component. Till you have any questions, please ask, guys. I think one more guy is also joined, Sandeep. Okay.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Sandeep. Can you introduce
Hi,
yourself,
hi.
Sandeep? I think you bit joined late.
I'm Sandeep. Like I'm doing my master's at St. Cloud State University,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and I'm in CPT right now. Like after this, like I'll go with my OPT, 1 year and like 2 years of extension. And I do have an experience in Java, uh,
Good.
like from 2012 to 2014. And I came to US in 2015. I have a master's in computer science. And now I'm doing my master's in cybersecurity.
Okay.
I
Good.
didn't
Great.
apply anything with my like for my after my first master's. So yes, that's all about me.
Okay, that's great. So as we discussed, right, what are the building blocks of Android? You can see when let me create then the new application. Then you can see, guys. I'll create the new application. Let's close this. Let's start with this is when you download the Android Studio, you can download it from there is developer.android.com. Have to open it and you can search for Studio. So we can see Android Studio previews. There are a lot of things available in Android. Okay, so you can see Android Studio tab, and you can directly download Android Studio here, and it will show you guys after downloading it. You can directly install it. Nothing much is there, and it will take some time, but okay. And after downloading this is the first screen. You can see. Let's close this one, and now how we can start with a new application. So start Android new application. I can create my application, so application name and company domain. You have to create your with the company domain and where you have to be placed. So I can still place it in somewhere like projects or something. Like I can create this folder, new folder, open. I can sample. Okay, if you want your application to support C++ or Kotlin language, so you can do it, and you can edit the package name as well. So package name always should be some company name dot something like, right. So usually it will be like com dot company name, company dot sample, something like. You can do whatever you want. It's a package, unique package name should be there. You cannot use the already existing package name, otherwise it won't be deployed to the Play Store. So it should be unique, and click on next. I can see the versions of Android. So till we have Oreo. Let's get with something like Lollipop when we wanted to support from Lollipop. Okay, so when you are having phone and tablet, you have to select this one. When you want to design for a watch application, you have to select this one, or TV application, you have to select this one. Android Auto is a car based application. Android things is a IoT, IoT related one. So these are the different application development we can have. So currently we are in phone and tablet devices version, right? So we can select that. Click on next. These are the some default layouts or default templates available. So we can still take no activity or basic activity, bottom navigation, empty activity, and these are all available, right? So you can take anything. If you select it, it will automatically give lot the default code for us. So currently will take a basic empty activity. Okay, this is a main activity. This is a Java class, and this is a layout file, XML file. So if you want to come support for a backward compatibility, you can use it. Otherwise you can uncheck it. So app compact, what is app compact also I will tell you guys. And when you click on finish, you can see there is a Gradle, right? So from IntelliJ Android Studio, Gradle is introduced. It's actually a building system, build platform system. So we can manage different application flavors, different product flavors. Let's say you have a product and you are supporting different customers or different localization languages. So still Gradle is a best approach. You can build it instead of having different applications for different customers. You can still achieve with one application with the different customers. So that is actually product flavors, and it has a release mode, a debug mode. There are a lot of options are there in the build Gradle. I'll tell you guys for each one by one. So when we create a new application, this is what we can see. So main activity, we can see some Java code. This is some Java file dot Java it is created with. and there is a XML. So this is a layout user interface for the user. So it is actually Gradle is building something. So let's wait for that, and meanwhile we can see what are the other things. I'll tell you each one by one how we can design the layout and how we can write it. So this is a basic structure of Android application when we create a new application, right? So you can see manifest. So what is manifest? So manifest is one of the XML, and whatever in your application, whatever your the user interface, whatever the actions you are defining, each one has to be defined in XML manifest. So there is an application, I built it. This is a package name, and the application has allow backup true. Where this option you found it, right? So let's say you have a device, and if you want to back up your device to the SD card, so all the application by default it will load on the internal memory of the device. So if you want to back up your application to the SD card, so if you can have to give it allow backup true. If you say allow backup false, it won't be moved to the SD card. You can see right in the settings, you can see move to SD card, move to phone memory, something like in Android device. So this option will take care of that. And this is an icon where you can see in your home screen, right? When you are install application, you can see a one icon. This is actually an application icon. Where it refers is the resources. I'll tell you. And this is the application name. What is application name if you want to give it? And this is a part of strings. So we cannot directly give all the names. We can still give it, but Android recommended to use the some resources so that can be reused everywhere. So if you directly write a string name here, it won't be reused, right? So that is why Android recommends to use some resources so that it can be reused. And round icon, some of the Android devices support rounded application icons, right? So some themes, launcher themes are there. Based on that, it will be rounded or it will be something like rectangular square images. So Android supports a rounded icon also. Okay. And basically it supports for watch development. So watch icons will be in a rounded shape. So we have to be, when we are designing an icons by the designers, we have to take care of icons, square size icon, round size icon with a different sizes. You have to be considered. And supports RTL. So this is actually a hardware related stuff. So whether your application supports the RTL or not. And there is a theme, that is a default theme we can see, and we have different themes also available, we can see later. And any activity or any user interface when you are creating, you have to be mentioned here. This is a component information. Here right, we have to get started with components. So these components information we have to be provided here. So there is an activity, main activity is an activity component, so we have to mention. And there are some intent filters. What is intent filter? So the brief of intent filter is, when we want it, when the application runs it, right, if you want to launch this main activity first, you have to be mentioned with the intent filter. So what is intent filter? Suggests that action is main, this is the main activity, and the category is launcher. That means whenever your application runs in the mobile device or emulator, this is the first activity which will be launched. So if you create another activity, you can define the intent filter over there. That will be the first activity. So whenever your application launches, which activity will be the first, it is actually intent filter is defining that. Okay. And intent filter has other lot of capabilities also, we can see that later. And there is one more folder, that is Java folder. It has some coding. You can see main activity, where you are creating your coding, business logic, everything in this package. Okay. And you can see testing also, right? So this is basic unit testing. JUnit supports this. So if you want to provide the testing capabilities to your application, you can write it here. And this is for instrumentation as well as UI testing. So we have Espresso testing as well for UI testing, and instrumentation testing also you can do it directly here. Okay. And this is a resource folder. resources as the supporting of our application, right? So there is a drawable folder. Earlier we used to do with a drawable. Now we have mipmap also. I'll tell you what is the difference. And drawable is basically now we are using for only XML related. So drawables are nothing but images or assets like PNG files, JPG file, WebP files. We can use it in the Android application. We have to be put it in a resources under drawable or mipmap. Earlier we used to put in all in a drawable folder only. Nowadays Android recommended to use mipmap only for images related. Other related XML like common to all, like background related or foreground related. This is actually background image. It is done with the XML directly. You can see, right? Path, fill color, stroke color. This is how it is defined with the XML. So Android sometimes recommended to use not only use of PNG files, because PNG files may have some of the different sizes like 1 MB, 2 MB. So it is increases the application size. So instead of that, we can still use this with directly XML. XML is a lightweight, we can directly define. So this will be rendered dynamically. So if you give PNG, right, it's a static size of the image. So when you are building it, your application size will be increased. You can see, right, when you are downloading an application, you can see how much size it is, how much MB the application is. So that is based on these resources. So if you define the some of the basic resources with the XML, so it reduces the application size. So that is why Android recommended to use vector images actually. So vector images can be have some fill color path data. This is a basic vector image. So some of the images can be just do it by vector drawables, right? So we can see later. And we can see a layout, as I already told you, whatever the user interface when you want to define it. So this is the basic user interface. It comes my application and hello world. I'll tell you how we can do it, everything. This is a user interface. When you run the application, this is the first screen you can see in the mobile device. And in the mipmap, right? This is actually image sources. So you can see this is my application icon. So you can see, right? I see launcher. In my manifest, this is the application icon reference I have given it. So this is how it is. You can see round icons also. So you can put here in the mipmap for all your assets related images and webpages. So webp basically is an Android recommended one because it's a very less size. So you can directly convert your PNG file to a webp file as well. So I'll show you guys later. So how you can modify your things, right? So you can see here convert to webp. I can still convert my PNG file to webp file. So it will reduce some of the size without losing the clarity of the image. So it supports that. PNG has some the size, right? So it takes some size. So when you convert that to WebP, it will reduce the size of that. So that is actually useful. And you can see some values folder. So values folder, what it contains is, so it has colors XML, strings and styles, right? So let's see one by one. What is colors XML? So whatever the color, if you want to use in your application, you can define the color with a hexa format here. So you know, right, RGB colors. So RGB, red, green, blue colors. So this is actually based on the combination. So FF, it's R, 40 is B, and 881 is B, RGB. So you can still select this color and you can select whatever the color you want. Let's say I want the different color. Let's say I'll define one more color. I can select my color. For now, I'll give the white color, and if I want to select a different color, I can go and put here, let's say green color. So this is my color. So 26C12B. So this is my color. I can give this color in my you can see in the layout. Let's directly give it so you guys also have something. So you can see the red text, right? I wanted to give the color to that text. I can name Android text color, text color. Where is it is located? It's a color XML @color my color. Okay, you can see right, it's converted to the green color, whatever the color I have given it. I can change that to color accent. Yeah, it changed it to different color. So that is how we can deal with the colors XML. So we have to any color when you are using in your application, you have to be defined here so that it can be reused over the application. And strings, right? So as I told you, the application name, any string when you are using in your application, you have to be declared here. So let's say I wanted to give name, let's say something name, and hello world I can say. Now in my activity there is a static hello world text, right? So I wanted to replace it with my resource string. So at the rate I can say and string and name, I can see hello world. So this is actually recommended by Android. You cannot directly put static text in XML or anywhere. You have to be put in all the string variables or string content in a string resources. This is actually recommended. Okay, so it can be reused. And there is a styles, you can see in the Android manifest, you can see the by default app theme is available. It's actually a light dark action bar. So what are the different things we can see later? So it has some color primary and color primary dog, color accent. What is it, what is all? When we see, when we are running this application, we can see everything. And let's go to Gradle scripts. So when you create an application, there is an app, right? So app has a model Gradle, and this is overall project Gradle. So by default, you can see this is Gradle script and repositories dependencies. This is a build Gradle. I will tell you guys these all things when you in the initial stage. If you learn it, it will be a very confusing thing. So we can see later when you are started with the application development, you can see you can learn it easily. So you can see Apple application. So this is a package name, right? So this is actually we can define it. Com.Android application is a we are specifying that this is an application. So even we can develop a module as well, or the library also as well. Your application should be a library. You can have to be put library instead of the application in the sense it will be directly run into the mobile device. If you put a library, you can convert this as a jar file or AR file, which can be reused in any of the other application. If you want to create a framework for Android, you can create your own framework and you can put it as a library here, and it will be given a jar file which will be dependent, so you can use it in any other application. Okay, and what we given is right. So compile SDK and run SDK. So 28 target we 28. So it is a Oreo, and what we given is minimum SDK is Lollipop. So that means our applications support starts from Lollipop to the latest version. So if you want to change it, you can directly change it here 24, whatever you want. Okay, for now 21. And this is a version code and version name. What is a version? You can see right 1.0, 1.0.1. So these are the different versions you can specify. When you are releasing an application, you have to be change it into the Play Store, right? So you have to change it, and you have to be careful over it. And this is a Android JUnit runner for instrumentation testing. You can use it. So we have some build types, as I already told you. This is a release type, and you can also specify debug also. When we are developing an application, you can specify debug build type as well. So minify enabled files is, so when you when you building your application, it is packaged with all the code, XMLs, resources, everything, right? If you say specify minified enabled true, it will compress all the assets and code so that it will reduce the size of the application. Otherwise it will be more in size. So this is one of the property available in Android, right? Android build system. It is not there earlier in Eclipse. Now it is introduced actually. And we can resource these strings resources also. Shrink resource available is there, so we can set some of the properties. We can see later when we are building or when we are releasing the application, how we can do it. We can see this so that you can understand clearly. And these are the by default dependencies. When we are just creating an application, these are the libraries which are dependent for our application. So you can see jar and lips dependency. So we can see app compact. App compact basically it's a backward compatibility a version. So when you are supporting a lollipop version, right, so it's a backward. And we are in 28, right, 28, and that means a Oreo. So when you want to support the previous versions of Android also, Android given with the app compact, because some of the features of Android are introduced in the latest versions of Android. But if you want to still support those APIs, those things in previous backward versions, so you have to use app compact library. If you use other libraries, so it won't support these features in older versions of Android. And this is a constraint layout. I'll tell you guys what are the different layouts available, and I'll tell you later. And this is what these are the basic things. And we changed something, right? So that is why it is showing sync now. Let's back it. New sync now, it will build it again when you change anything. Okay, and let's see when you run our application what will do. So by running it, right, you just connect with your mobile device or the emulator, as I told you. So how we can create an emulator to test it out, right? So you can see there is an option called AVD manager. You can go to AVD manager. I already created one virtual device. Let's create how we can create virtual device. You can see you can see, right, TV, phone, wear, tablet. You can select any one of them. Now I'm selecting phone, and you can see different sizes with the pixel different vendor names. So Nexus X, Nexus 6, there are, this is providing the screen. Okay, and I'm selected Nexus 5 earlier, and that is 4.95, and this is the resolutions. And you click on press next, and you can see you have to download one of the recommended API, because it will create with a system image. So if you want to run, if you want to have all the features whatever your physical mobile device having, so you have to download one of the version. I already downloaded Nougat, so I can specify Nougat. And this is actually 5x resolution is 1080 by 1920, and this is a Android API version, and which supports portrait. And now it is, I'm having only portrait and not the landscape. If I show advanced, so each mobile device has their own RAM and internal storage, SD card storage, everything, right? So same way we can create our own RAM memory and heap size. It will taken care from the system RAM. So and you can see internal storage 800 MB, SD card 100 MB I can give it. And so once I finish it, it will create this kind of AVD, so emulator. So how we can run it? Just click on a play button here. You can see starting AVD. Okay, and let's close this one. See, Android is running. So similar way, the physical device, the simulator also will be similar to that. So launching the Android, and you can see all the application, what physical device have, home screen, and default applications. The similar way it is there, right? So let's run our application and see how the application is there in the emulator. So for running, right, you can select your application app. There is a play button here, and click on it. You can see all the connected device. If you connect your mobile device, you can see your mobile device screen here. So now only I connected with the emulator. I can select this one and press on OK. You can see Gradle building is running. You can see different stages of available here, right? So now it is in Gradle building stage, and you can see later you can see other things. Do you guys have any questions? Let's ask me so I can answer meanwhile. So now there is a different stage, right? Installing APKs. After building it, let's start installing our APK. And there is a launching activity. So initial activity will be launched. So this is what we designed, right? So my application, Hello World is our first screen. That is where in manifest we define our, this is the first activity when the application is launched. And you can see app icon. Yeah, this is our application, right? So this emulator supports a rounded related, and it took the rounded icon. So this is my application, and let me drag into the home screen. So this is my application, and I click on it, I can see this one. So this is a hello world program. So how we can define it, these are the basic things when you design a new application. Do you have any questions till now?
Nothing for today.
So you guys
Not at this
had
moment.
some clarity, right? How, what is the basic, what is Android, and how we can do the basic application and all, right?
Yes. Yeah, we understand the basics.
Great, that's great. So can we continue on the Android topics, or can we start the Android topics directly from tomorrow?
We can start with the Android topic from tomorrow if there is no problem with
Yeah.
that.
So what you can do is, guys, so just download whatever I suggested, right? So developer.android.com, go to that and download the Android Studio first and set it up. If you have any difficulties, reach out to me. So I'll provide my email ID. Okay, you can guys reach out to me. Anything related to setup, installation. After install, right? Just create a basic sample application, Hello World program. Then you are if you're comfortable it, then we can get started. So I can tell you other things also what Android Studio has, right? So let's cover this one as well. So you can see Android Studio preferences. Okay, what are these, right? So this is when we wanted to install any specific version of Android like Oreo, Nougat, and anything, right? You can directly select it and apply it. It will start installing it. So I installed only 6.0, 5.0. And if you want any specific version, you can select it, like just click on it and apply. You can see okay. When you okay it, it will be start installing. So it will take some time. So I don't want to do it now. And there are SDK tools. So when you're developing for maps related API simulation, or like kernel related application, you have to be install these all other things. So constant layout we already have, support repository we have, Google repository. We can see one by one when we are installing anything. So Intel x86 also we install, because of for emulator we have to install this one. This is by default Android will taken care, and these are the repository links where all the SDK and related information will be downloaded. So Android repository, this is Android system repository. That means it is for actually a emulator system image. And you have a, there is a glass development kit also, Android, that is related, again it's a different development. And we can see Play Store system images. These are all repositories available. When we are installing anything, it will be taken from these repositories. So when you are installing these things in your company network, right, VPN, you have to be get bypass these URLs in a proxy level. You have to add these things, otherwise you won't get anything installed in your Android Studio. You have to be copy these things and given to your system admin, so that they can add in the proxy layer, right, firewall layer, so they you can get added these things. And you have any proxy related in your like company, so you can select host name, port name, proxy or no proxy, or proxy authentication. If you have anything in your company, you can provide these things so that it will be connected over the network. Otherwise it won't be connected, right? So you can select these things. This is actually manual. If you don't have any proxy, or if you are using in your home, right, doesn't require any proxy basically, so you can select no proxy. And updates, you can select, it's a stable channel. There are different channels, right? So dev channel, this is a when any of the Android API before going to the market are stable, it will be released in a dev channel. And there is a beta channel also. We can, if you want to test it out, Android provides that, you can still download it. There is a 3.2 version is also there in the beta stage. You can directly download, we can select the beta and check now, it will be available. You can select check now, it will show you. So this is a 3.2 version is there, beta 2. So if you want to test beta 2 now, instead of a stable version, you can directly download it, and it provides the capability that. But we are only doing currently with the stable channels. And this is again a different, so menus, toolbars, what we can have, this is, we can see. So any repository related, right, so you can have version control. So you have any project in a Git, you can select Git here, and CVS it provides, and subversion is also, SVN is also there. So you can select from there and you can download the project directly. Editor, in editor you can see one basic thing, general, and auto import. Auto import is basically useful for when you are having any API integrate into your application, right? So instead of these importing the classes and packages by manually, you can directly select these things, and if you apply it, automatically all the import statement will be taken care. So why this is useful in the sense, I'll tell you. But that is why I'm not enabling this feature. When we are developing an API, I'll tell you guys this one. And this is actually a basic preferences, and you can see file, there is a new, and we can create new project, new Android project. This is an import project. If there is a module like library module, you can import it directly and import a project from different versions, right? GitHub, CVS, Google Cloud, Subversion, you can import the project from there. And this is a new module creation. So if you want to create a supported module, right, like a framework, so if you want to support it like a framework, you can create a new model. So it doesn't have any like other capabilities. So if you want to create an Android library, you can directly create a library, or instant app, feature, module. There are a lot of different options available. Android things module, we can see some of them while we are in a learning stage. We can see different things. And in the new, you can see import model, import sample, you can import everything. And if you want to create a Java class now, you can create Java class like let's go into the Java, into the package, and you click on right click, and you can see new Java class, second activity, main activity, and second activity. I can see one Java class is created. And if you want to, is a plain Java class is created. If you want to have this as a activity class, then you have to extend
It's a basic activity like app compact activity. So now it is an Android activity. Earlier it is a plain Java class. Now it is Android class. So it doesn't have any UI currently, right? So if you want to create, give an UI for it, just create. There is a overriding method on create. Okay. So when you create on create, it's a overriding method. You can see bundle and save instance state. I'll tell you guys this everything. So still it doesn't have any UI. So if you want to set an UI, set content layout as a method name. So you can see IntelliSense, everything you can see, right? Send content view, content layout, everything you can see. Content view. I can select from where I can select from, right? Resources, there is a layout folder. So how you can get the layout folder over here? There is a name called R. You can press capital R. You can see this is my package. I should get my from my package. R dot. You can see a layout because it's under part of a layout folder. So layout dot. You can see what are available layout files. I can see activity main, right? Just click on activity name main. So now this is my UI screen for this activity. So this is already using my another activity. Still I can use it. So if you want to create your own layout, just go to new. You can say layout resource file. You can click on it. By default, constraint layout will come, and you can give the activity 2. I can give it. Just click on it. I can see the default layout is created. It's a constraint layout. I'll tell you guys less now. For now, I'm removing constraint layout and putting relative layout. So I'll tell you what is relative layout, linear layout, everything by next classes. Okay, just now for now, just creating a sample one. And let's put some button over here. I'm putting a button. Wrap content with wrap content. I'll tell you each and everything. Okay. Text. Click me. This is text. Okay. And when we want to put in a, so I directly given in the text in the layout, right? Still I can use it. Go to values, strings. I can provide strings XML. Click me. Okay. Just go to my activity and string dot click. So I gave it. Okay, I can see there is a button over here, right? So I wanted to center it. Center in parent. True. So that means vertically horizontal it will be placed in the center. So this is how it is actually based. So I wanted to give this activity to my thing. So let's remove that. Layout dot again. I can see activity underscore 2. So now my second activity has with a some button. So this is how we can define the layout and we can map the layout to the our activity. So just say I don't want to use layout XML. Still I can achieve with custom designing. Let's say I can directly create a button here. Okay. So it is now see what it is asking. So you have to be import button, right? Instead of that, I don't want to always give a button. So let's provide the context. So it is asking me to import. I don't want to import directly. So I told you, right? There is a preferences, and in the editor general auto import can select these options on the fly. It will be imported. You can see, right? There is an error gone, and you can see Android widget dot button. So whatever the API you are directly copy pasting from anywhere, Android directly auto import all the import statement on classes and packages on the fly. So this is the advantages of auto importing concept. So I don't bother about where the button is in the package, which package and which class. I don't bother about it. Okay. This is how I created a button. And then you can still add to the content view. Still add it. So this content view will have only my button. There is no layout again. So I just have a one button over there. But other layout has layout, constraint layout, or relative layout, and under button. So this is just creating one dynamic button, and this is how we can create it. And these are all some basic things and don't require now currently. And what we can show now: analyze, refactor, build. Yeah, build. When you want to build it, you can create a clean project and rebuild project, and what how we can build a APK. When you want to have a APK file, so you can build it. Generate signed APK for uploading the application to the App Store. You can have a signed APK. I'll tell you guys how to create a signed APKs and analyze the APK. Any issues with the JUnit will be performed. JS lint also there in the Android Studio. It will be show some warnings in the coding, so it will show you the guys. And running an app, these options already there here already in the tab. So you can see run, instant run is, it doesn't again build it, it will directly deploy whatever changes you've done it. Let's click on it, right? It will directly, first time it will be built it, and if any changes happen, it will be without taking that much time for the initial time, it will directly deploy into the mobile device. And you can see profiler, and this is a debugging. So if you have any issues or any exception, you can put a debug point. You can see right here left side, you can click on it, you can put a debug point here. So when you are in a debug mode, control will be stopped here. You can debug it, any issue happen, you can just remove it for now. And this is for stopping the application, and this is for syncing, and this we already shown, this AVD manager, and this is already we shown, right? So is for installing the versions. And run tool, yeah, this is again the same thing. And this is actually how, what is Android Studio and what are the options available in Android Studio. Okay, and what we can see, yeah, these are different things. While we are developing it, we can see all these things. Okay, I think for now we can stop today's topic. And do you have any questions? And we can go, otherwise we can wind up. So every day at the end of the session, for 10 minutes we can have a Q&A, so that I can get clarified all the questions what you guys then get. When I'm telling anything, right, you can note it down what are the questions you have it. And at the end of the session you can ask all the questions, so that I can answer it easily. Okay.
Okay.
So you guys clear on the initial introduction of Android and what is Android, how we can create a basic application, what is Android Studio, what are the APIs. So at the later point of time, what are the component, how we can create a component, and everything we can see, okay, in the tomorrow class. Is that fine, you guys? Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can just install the all the setup and get it ready, okay, by tomorrow, so that we can get started with all the API related, component related everything. Okay. So in just now we have overview of what is Android and what is, how we can develop a simple application, what is Android Studio IDE, and we have it, right? So just install and set up ready for tomorrow, so we can get started directly. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you.
We'll meet tomorrow, same time.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys.